Hello everybody, welcome to Snyder's Inc. And today we got another wrestling reaction. And this one is 10 seriously random WWE Re-Signings. And I'm actually curious to see what's on this list. We'll get right into this. Ladies and gentlemen, please hit the subscribe button, help us go. If you want to see more of these reactions, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and help me in the old algorithm. You know how great that algorithm is. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this video. Also, let me know anything other you would like me to do. Would you like me to do reviews, tier list, video game stuff? Wrestling video game stuff. Let me know. But let's get right into this. Let's go.
When he got his giant muscular hands on the keys to WWE, Triple H made a bit of a habit of bringing back some of his old favorites that were let go under the McMahon regime. While returns like Dakota Kai and Bronson Reed make a lot of sense, some have perhaps seemed a little strange. Even mega popular names like Bray Wyatt haven't had the smoothest ride so far, at least at the time of recording. Don't worry though, because we've got some really weird ones for you from years gone by. I'm Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are 10 seriously random WWE Re-Signings. Join us.
This video is brought to you by WrestleCrate. WrestleCrate is the original and best wrestling subscription box, packed with the best wrestling merch and shirts every single month, delivered straight to your door. T-shirts like this.
Well, this is UK, so it doesn't help me. However, if there was a Canada one, I would love to get that.
Or this, or this, or these! WrestleCrate partner with the biggest wrestling stars of the past and present to provide you exclusive merch that you will not find anywhere else. Like this, or this, or this, or this, or these! Sign up today at WrestleCrate.co.uk. The link is in the description below, and use code CULTAHOLIC to double the goodies in your first WrestleCrate. Double! You would be a stupid idiot not to.
Number 10, Chris Masters in 2009. The masterpiece Chris Masters was given a fairly deep...
Chris Masters had so much potential. Like, he did. Except for the fact he now is losing to Tyrus, who's just shit. It's just total shit. Billy Corgan, what have you done to the end of your year? You fucked the whole thing up.
Decent shake of the stick during his first stint with WWE. Debuting in February 2005, Masters got over with his impressive physique, arrogant mannerisms, and seemingly unbreakable Masterlock finisher. He teamed with Carlito to form my favorite tag team, the Masters of Cool, had the opening match at WrestleMania 22, and challenged for the WWE title on a number of occasions. However, violations of WWE's wellness policy meant that Masters was let go in November 2007. After floating around on the indies, the chiseled superstar returned to McMahonland in July of 2009 and did, well, not a lot really. He had a very brief feud with MVP, got into a relationship with Eve Torres, and that was about it. He was then released again in 2011, so what was all that for really? What makes this rehire so random is that WWE clearly saw something in Masters during his first run. So why didn't they try and recapture that magic the second time around instead of making him a glorified jobber?
Yeah, it's a weird thing. It is weird how they never gave him another shot at it. I guess when you fail their wellness, they lose faith in you, I guess. Again, unless you're Jeff Hardy. But like, I feel he could have given another shot.
That said, the peck dancing thing, really cool. Number 9, Gail Kim in 2008. Whilst working for TNA between 2005 and 2008, Gail Kim helped revolutionize the way women's wrestling was seen in North America. Her feud with Awesome Kong over the Knockouts Championship is nothing short of legendary and helped put the entire company on the map. However, when Kim's contract expired in 2008, she chose to go back to WWE. Kim's first go around in the company started off very strong as she won the Women's Championship in her very first match. She lasted a little over a year before being abruptly cut as management informed her that they wanted to take the women's division in a new direction. That direction clearly involved a lot more bikinis. So we're not really sure what Kim was expecting when she went back to WWE. The company still didn't really care about its female performers, so they weren't going to give her anywhere near the same treatment she'd received over in Nashville.
Gail Kim now would be, like, prime Gail Kim in current WWE would be on a whole freaking different level. She'd be one of the top women. She was incredible. It is sad how little they used Gail Kim in WWE, because there was so much potential to her. Oh my god, thank God TNA used her to the way that she should have been. Her and Awesome Kong is awesome. No pun intended.
Kim realized this herself on the August 1st, 2011 episode of Raw, where she was so fed up that she eliminated herself from a battle royal.
I love that so much. I'm sorry, that makes me laugh when I heard that the first time. The fact that she just eliminates herself from a battle royal is incredible.
She left the company later that year, and honestly, it's hard to argue with her decision. Seriously wasted potential on WWE's part.
Yep.
Number 8, the British Bulldog in 1999. During the 80s and early 90s, the British Bulldog was a fantastic mid-card and tag team act who truly embodied the cartoony spirit of the World Wrestling Federation. Sadly, that spirit had become a lot more dark and grimy by the time Bulldog returned to the company in 1999. After leaving in protest over the Montreal Screwjob.
Bulldog wasn't in shape. I think his back was hurt from something in WCW. He couldn't really go. He never really stood. He couldn't really be used in the top spot. It wasn't possible for him at that time.
Bret Hart was his brother-in-law after all. Davey Boy spent a couple of years working for WCW. Sadly, the only notable thing he achieved there was a serious back injury when he landed hard on a trap door. He went back up north in September 1999 and just a few weeks later was headlining the Unforgiven pay-per-view in a WWE title 6-pack challenge. The other participants were Triple H, Big Show, Mankind, Kane, and The Rock. No offense to the lad, but at this point in his career, Bulldog stuck out like a very British sore thumb.
Especially when Austin is there as an enforcer, not a competitor. Yeah.
And that was basically the story of his entire return run. Bulldog just felt like he didn't belong, like he was a hangover from another era. Exacerbated by his injuries, it was clear that Davey Boy was just not made for the Attitude Era, no matter how much denim he wore. Still, worked for Triple H, didn't it? Number 7, Sable in 2003.
This was a bad idea. I don't know what they were thinking here.
In her prime, Sable was one of the most popular performers in the entire industry. Not for her wrestling, but hey, the Attitude Era. Whether it was feuding against her jealous husband Mark Merrow, competing for the revived Women's Championship, or turning Jerry Lawler into a puddle of drool, Sable was a star, and then, in 1999, she was out the door. Mrs. Brock Lesnar first left WWE under pretty dire circumstances. In fact, on her way out, she filed a $10 million lawsuit against the company, citing allegations of harassment and unsafe working conditions. This made it all the more confusing when, in 2003, she returned to the very same company she had taken legal action against.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm surprised they haven't brought her back again. Like, not to do anything on TV for a return one time. I am shocked they have never done that with her.
In a very icky turn of events, Sable was rehired to play the on-screen mistress of Vince McMahon. As well as making out with the chairman, Sable feuded with the likes of his daughter Stephanie and Tori Wilson. She wrestled her final match in June 2004 and left the company once and for all in August. Number 6, Test in 2006.
I disagree with this. I love Test in this run. Unfortunately, he was going through some stuff. Yes, that is obvious somewhat, but like him in ring-wise, he's still fine. I don't know what the issue is with Test in 06. I don't know why people shit on it so much.
Did you know that Test first debuted in WWE as a bodyguard for the band Motley Crue? Did you want to know that? Well, tough. The big Canadian first worked for WWE between 1998 and 2000.
Literally, when it comes to mid-card guys, Test is one of my favorites. Like, I loved Test.
2004 and got involved in some pretty hefty storylines. This was the guy who was at one point scheduled to be the on-screen husband of Stephanie McMahon. That darn Triple H and his wacky schemes, what's he like, eh? Test then teamed with Albert, played turncoat during the invasion, and won a bunch of different championships before his time in the promotion came to an end. 2 years later though, and the big guy was back, on the ECW brand. He challenged Bobby Lashley for the ECW title at the 2007 Royal Rumble, was part of that god-awful Extreme Elimination Chamber match at December to Dismember, and got suspended for a wellness policy violation before leaving once again. Okay, so he was in the Alliance, which technically had ECW in it, but what else did this very WWE man have to do with the land of the extreme? Number 5, Eva Marie in 2021.
100% fully could not agree more. This made no sense. This was another one where it was a bad idea from the start. This was never gonna work out in current wrestling.
When Eva Marie first signed for WWE back in 2013, the landscape was very different. We were still in the Divas era of women's wrestling, where management seemed to care more about how a female wrestler looked than how she performed. Naturally, the striking redhead former model fit right in. To put it politely, Eva Marie was not a natural. And if you think that's not very polite, you should have seen the first draft of this script. After stinking up the main roster,
She's the worst, one of the worst fucking wrestlers I have ever seen in my life. There you go, that's harsh.
and NXT
But true and honest in my opinion.
until 2017, she and the company finally parted ways. Phew, glad that's over. There's no way she's getting rehired now that we have all of these really talented stars in the women's division, right? Wait a minute. Yes, Eva was back, re-signing with the company in late 2020. During this run, she cut a few promos, changed Piper Niven's name to Doudrop, and wrestled a bad match with Alexa Bliss at SummerSlam. Her comeback lasted about a year, which was about a year too long.
Yep.
Nothing against the woman personally, obviously, but she was just too big of a reminder of a time in wrestling many fans would like to forget.
She couldn't even she has been training since 2014. She really tried to put effort in 2015, and in the span of all this time, she still she just can't do fuck all. She's shit. She's total shit. I don't care. If there's Eva Marie fans, I want you to comment, because I will argue if you tell you're deaf. I don't care. I hate her. She sucks.
There were fragments of an idea in terms of Eva's booking, but it soon became clear that WWE just did not have a long-term plan in mind. Number 4, Haku in 2001. The 2001
Don't ever speak bad about Haku. I will never get no Haku hate on this channel. You will not speak bad about Haku.
Royal Rumble match featured plenty of surprises. The Honky Tonk Man made a fun cameo, Big Show returned, and who could forget when WWE Hall of Famer Drew Carey won the whole thing with a double Canadian Destroyer to Stone Cold Steve Austin. Also, Haku was there. Wait, what? The scariest man to ever live made his first WWE
The WCW Hardcore Champion. Because he just won the belt. It's like not long before the show.
appearance in 9 years when he came out at number 29. For the better part of the last decade, he had been wrestling in WCW as Meng. In fact, he was there just 1 week earlier. At the Sin pay-per-view, the company's third last ever, Meng wrestled Crowbar and Terry Funk in a WCW hardcore title match. And guess what? He only went and bloody won it. That's right, when Haku appeared in the Royal Rumble, he was technically still the WCW hardcore champion. However,
I love Haku so much for that. I love it.
it looked like WWE may have only rehired him to stick it to their rivals down south, as Haku was gone again just over a year later. To be fair, there's also the possibility that he could have just told WCW management he was leaving with the belt and everybody was too afraid to stop him. Can't blame him. Number 3, Eric Bischoff in 2019. Vince McMahon has had plenty of legendary foes over the years. Stone Cold Steve Austin, Hulk Hogan, the American legal system, but few have posed quite the same threat as Eric Bischoff. As executive producer during WCW's golden years, Bischoff came within inches of taking down the sports entertainment patriarch for good. Bischoff's WWE debut came as a shock to everyone as he was announced the new general manager of Raw in 2002. He's appeared numerous times for the promotion since then, but his strangest comeback was one that fans barely got to see at all. In June 2019, it was announced that Raw and SmackDown were getting some new executive directors. Heading up the Red brand was Paul Heyman, which made sense as he already worked for WWE at the time. But on the blue side was a returning Eric Bischoff. Bischoff being brought back to a position of power was something nobody saw coming. The whole move turned out to be a disaster as Bischoff was sacked in October, but for one brief moment, the former heads of WCW and ECW were both helping Vince McMahon run the company. Wrestling's so weird. Number 2, Tatanka in 2005.
They even turned him heel, didn't they? Am I having a brain for this? I swear I remember them turning him heel too. Why'd they do this? Like, literally why?
Remember when Tatanka randomly turned up in the 2016 Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal? No announcement, no entrance music, no nothing. He was just there. Well, it turns out that the Native American superstar had prior when it came to showing up on WWE programming for no reason. In August 2005, Tatanka answered the Eugene Open Challenge to compete against Nick Dinsmore for Kurt Angle's stolen gold medal. That is a crazy sentence. What was meant to be a one-off turned into a full-on return, and the former War Eagle was back, baby. He was in the 2006 Royal Rumble for 15 minutes. He was The Miz's first ever opponent. He teamed with Matt Hardy to take on Eminem for the tag team titles on pay-per-view. All this from a guy who debuted back in 1992. In terms of weird returns, they do not come much weirder than this.
Agreed.
Not only was Tatanka back, but he was involved. He was getting better storylines than performers 10 years younger than him, and sadly, we have absolutely no idea why. Number 1, D'Lo Brown in 2008. D'Lo...
You're messing with the real deal now. You're messing with the real deal now.
Brown is surely one of the most underrated wrestlers WWE
Agreed.
has ever had on their
100%
books.
agreed.
Cool, charismatic, and with a move
I'm gonna be straight honest, should be in the Hall of Fame. And man, one of the most underrated in the wrestling business.
set that wouldn't look out of place today, D'Lo was a captivating presence whenever he was on screen.
He's the real
A
deal.
staple of the Attitude Era undercard, Brown hung about until 2003. He then wrestled for the newly formed TNA, spent a lot of time in Japan, and even fought for the Ring of Honor World title at one point. But hang on, he also came back to WWE in 2008. Pulling my leg, aren't you? No leg pulling here. Brown really did re-sign for WWE in June 2008. In his redo with the company, D'Lo wrestled a whopping 5 televised matches, and almost all of them were against Santino Marella. Bit of trivia, he also wrestled Dolph Ziggler under his Nick Nemeth ring name, in case you were curious. D'Lo actually beat Santino in an IC title bout, but it was by disqualification. Should have just given him the belt, come on. D'Lo was dropped in 2009 due to cost-cutting measures, which begs the question, why did they even rehire him in the first place? Still, for my money, the greatest European champion of the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you thought of these weird returns in the comments. Hit the like button, hit subscribe button. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all for the next one.